I'm Cheyenne Hollis for the Touchback, and today we're going to look into those fantasy football players you're going to want to avoid in 2020. Let's get right into it. First on our list is Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers quarterback. He's currently being drafted anywhere between the 8th and 10th round. You're seeing that ADP at, and he's going as QB 8, 9, 10, 11. Really, it fluctuates a lot because he has a big name, and there are a lot of fantasy football managers out there who are attracted to the big name. But he's a guy to avoid even at this, what some would perceive to be a value in the 9th round, because it is Aaron Rodgers. Look, we know the Packers offseason wasn't great. They didn't give him any weapons at all. And in fact, they probably drafted looking more to the future with guys like Jordan Love and AJ Dillon. The thing about Aaron Rodgers' fantasy football performance is his great seasons have been driven by high touchdown numbers and a sneaky rushing contribution. He hasn't done that the past 2 years, whereas in his peak seasons, he was getting about 35 to 40 touchdowns and nearly 400 rushing yards. The past 2 seasons, he's been holding firm at 25, 26 TDs and under 200 rushing yards, and that's really bringing down his overall performance almost by 2 points a game and sometimes more depending on the season. With so many other quarterback options out there right now that are sleepers, that are interesting, and that are going later in drafts, there's really no reason to be taking Rodgers in hoping that he's your QB1 this season. So when you see him on the board in that 9th, 10th round, just go ahead, let him slide, grab another guy, and let Aaron Rodgers be someone else's headache this year. Next on our list of fantasy football players to avoid in 2020 is Seattle Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf, who's being taken around wide receiver 19 or 20, 5th, 6th round, depending on how many teams are in your league. DK Metcalf is an interesting player. He's got all the physical tools, and he had a pretty nice season his rookie year. The issue with DK Metcalf is it's hard to see where he's going to get an increase in volume. He had 100 targets last year, second on the team, and Seattle has added both Greg Olsen and they'll get Will Dissly back at the tight end position. There's also quite a few rumors that they're looking to add another wide receiver, with both Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon's names being thrown out there. That would have a negative impact on Metcalf in particular, because either one of those players are going to take out targets. It's hard to see Tyler Lockett losing a huge target share just given what he does on the field, his route tree, and what is expected from him. While DK Metcalf will have big weeks, it's hard to see consistency from week to week from him, regardless of if Seattle adds a wide receiver or not, because there's just not a lot of volume left over for him to increase his workload. That being said, if Metcalf's ADP does take a hit in the lead up to the season and he's available in the 8th, 9th, or 10th round, I think he becomes a guy to target just because of that upside that exists. But as a 6th round, you're not really getting a lot of upside in that spot. Number 3 on our list of players to avoid this season is Evan Engram, the New York Giants tight end. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about him, because if you want to see why you should not draft a tight end in the mid rounds, you can check up the video on the upper right hand corner of the screen. Long story short, if you're drafting a tight end in the 7th, 8th round, you're probably not going to win your championship this year. Moving on, we come to Kenyan Drake, the Arizona Cardinals running back. Boy, oh boy, is the hype train out of control here. Kenyan Drake is firmly going in the 2nd round. It's RB 12, 13, 14. I do not understand this one bit, and you can see from the graph on your screen, the hype is coming off of 2 weeks, 15 and 16 in the fantasy football playoffs, where Kenyan Drake just balled out. You want to know why he balled out, people? It wasn't because Arizona found some magic potion to get the run game going. It wasn't because Kenyan Drake's really an RB1 who's going to dominate this year. because they were playing two of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL last season. Week 15, Cleveland Browns, they were the third worst rushing defense in the league. Week 16, Fantasy Football Championship week, Arizona went up against the Seattle Seahawks, who had the 11th worst rushing defense in the league. He had two juicy matchups. He delivered. But look at that valley. That is some scary stuff, people. And this is why you shouldn't be taking Kenyan Drake in the second round. His floor is 5 points. His floor is 4 points. We don't know what exactly Arizona offense is going to be. Their offensive line still not great. There's just so much risk involved with Kenyan Drake in this spot. And you look at the other guys you could take in the second round, and they all have a much safer floor. I will take you back to around this time in 2019. Everyone was on the Kenyan Drake hype train. He's going to break out for Miami. He's got the volume. He's got the role. He had a few good games to end the season in 2018. And what happened? He came out and had a terrible start to the season in Miami. A bunch of 6-point games. He got traded. He started off well with the Niners. Just bombed his way through and then came back to life in the fantasy football playoffs. Sample size is super small on Kenyan Drake. Could he break out this season? Yeah, of course he could. History tells us that's probably not going to happen, so just give him a pass unless you start seeing him become available in the third or fourth round of drafts this year. The next two guys on our list both happen to be running backs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they are Ronald Jones II and Keyshawn Vaughn. Not going to spend a lot of time here either. We have an article on the touchback that explains why you want to not draft either of these guys, and you can find a link to that in the video description. But here's the thing, Bruce Arians, not a great coach with running backs. He had one season with David Johnson like 4 years ago, and apart from that, it's been a lot of Andre Ellington and Rashard Mendenhall types. Neither of these guys are going to deliver. I know every expert out there wants to plant their flag on one of these guys because they think Tampa Bay is going to be this amazing offense, and maybe it is, but the running back situation is gross. Pass on Vaughn, pass on Jones II. The final player on our list of guys to avoid in the 2020 fantasy season is Cam Newton. I've done a lot of mock drafts. He's going anywhere from the 6th round to the 12th round. Guys are drafting him as backup. Some want him as a high-end QB1. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding what to expect from Cam Newton and the Patriots this year. It doesn't look good though, and you have to look at the weapons around Cam. James White, Sonny Michel in the backfield. I mean, that's just a shoulder-shrugging combination. Nothing excites you there. The receiving core, Edelman probably going to be a top 20 wide receiver this year. That's just who he is. Sanu looked done. N'Keal Harry, nobody knows what you're getting from him. I mean, Jacoby Myers. There's just not a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball. And Cam Newton isn't rushing for 1,000 yards and 10 TDs this season. It doesn't seem likely that he's going to finish as a QB1. So there's just no need to go out and draft him this year. The Patriots offense probably isn't going to be good. It's a team that's going to win games by defense and grinding the clock out and punting and field positioning, but it's not a high-powered offense. So even if Cam Newton is going in that 11th, 12th round, you still should probably just give him a pass. There's no need to hope and pray that he's going to be this lotto ticket, because this isn't 2016. The Patriots offense isn't good. Cam's an older player. Just avoid it. That does it for this video. Be sure to tell us who you're avoiding in 2020 in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill and all the pandering we gotta do. For the touchback, I'm Cheyenne Hollis, and make sure you take it out to the 25.